Hi folks, and welcome to the latest in our series of synth tutorials relating to 60 years of the synthesizer with computer music. In this tutorial we're using Softtube's amazing reincarnation of the Juno 106 that they call the Model 84 to recreate the sound of Bruno Mars's classic 24 Karat. So let's dive straight in by loading up a copy of your favoured DAW, and we're going to plug in a copy of the Model 84 on a spare instrument channel. Now, to begin with, there's no easy way of initializing a patch on the Model 84, so we're going to start by using a patch which is not that far away from the kind of thing that we want. In order to locate this patch, we need to go to the little drop-down menu that's on the top right and go across to Presets. In the original section, you'll see something that says A11 Brass. Just select that, and you should hear a brass sound. At this point, it's probably going to be a good idea to save our patch, so go back to the same drop-down menu, select Add Preset, at which point you'll be able to name your patch, and we're using the patch name of 18K. Now, part of the unique architecture of the Juno 106, and indeed the Model 84, is that it has a sub-oscillator available within the digitally controlled oscillator section. We're going to apply some sub-oscillator to this sound, and we're going to do it by pushing this fader upwards. Now, all of the values on the Juno 106 and indeed the Model 84 are controlled on a scale between 0 and 10. So we're going to drag the fader up to a position of around about 4 on that scale. And now we can hear that 1 octave below the main oscillator, we're hearing the sub-oscillator. Close by to the DCO section is the LPF section. That stands for low pass filter. That's the main filter that we have available on the synthesizer. We're going to adjust the cutoff control to a value of around about 6, and we're going to leave the resonance control at a value of about 1, where it is already. We also want to apply a little bit of envelope control to the filter section, so nudging the envelope control that we have here, we're going to set that to a value of 1. One of the characteristics of this sound relates to a little bit of vibrato which is applied to the main oscillator. So moving back to the DCO section, we're going to nudge the LFO fader to a value of about 1.5. Associated with that is the actual LFO itself, which is to the left-hand side of the DCO section. We're going to move the rate control to a value of about 5, and we're going to eliminate the delay element altogether. Next, we need to attend to the envelope shape relating to this sound. It's got a relatively full-on sustain and a very harsh attack. So starting with the attack fader, make sure the attack is all the way down. We're then going to go to the sustain fader and apply that to a value of around about 9.5, so it's not quite all the way up. And we want a very quick release, so we're going to drag the release fader down to a value of about 0.5. We now have a sound that sounds a bit like this. Now, whilst there are many fans of the chorus on the Juno 106, and it is a decent chorus sound, but it is quite unrelenting. It's largely on or off. Hence, we want to have a little bit more control, so we're going to turn the chorus off by clicking on the off button in the chorus section. This will straighten out our sound and make it sound a bit more like this. You can hear it sounds quite flat now by comparison, but we can do a couple of things on the back end of the signal to really beef things up. The first thing we're going to do is we're using a nice compressor here. This happens to be a valve-based compressor, or at least in the virtual sense, from SSL, which we're using to really kind of keep the levels under control. And finally, to add to the general mix, we're going to apply some chorus, but with a bit more control. We're using Universal Audio's Brigade chorus, which is a simulation of the good old-fashioned Roland CE1 chorus, which has gone down in history as being one of the best vintage choruses available. Hence, we have a sound that's now like this. Very, very rich and creamy. So lastly, we're not using the exact same chords of 24 Karat for reasons of copyright, but we have got something which is very, very similar. You'll probably want to think about the way you play this sound. It's a very percussive and funky sound, and therefore you have to think about the way you play the fronts of notes and the way you play the ends of notes. So think about doing something along these kind of lines. You get the general idea. So until next time, we'll see you soon.